Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dollar Crap Primer, where we love us. Well, we would typically say Transformers, but as of lately, it's geek and everything that deals with the geekdom of the universe. And tonight, I have a great guest, Tiff Glitter. He's going to sit here and share with us some of the things is his passion, not only his passion, but why he got into reviewing Transformers, where he came from, how he got where he is, and also with that, hey, let's get on with the show. Hey, my man, how you doing today? I'm glad you were able to be here.
I'm happy to be here. I love doing stuff like this.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, what have you been up to lately?
Well, working mostly.
Oh, God, working
and then not working and working again. We, our company sent a whole bunch of people on standby. They went down to kind of a skeleton crew.
Okay.
And they did that once already back when, everything started going down. And I was on standby for like 2.5 months.
Oh, really?
And then they brought me back. I was back for like a month, and they sent me back on standby. And then that lasted all of like 2 weeks, and they recalled me again. So it's hectic. It kind of messes with the schedule when I'm trying to make videos and all that, but I can't complain, right? I mean, some people don't have a job right now, so I definitely don't want to whine about that.
No, there's a very unique world we're living in right now.
It's one for the history books, that's for sure.
It really is. I was this past weekend. I wasn't able to make the live stream yesterday, and also the podcast for a Community for All of Us because I had my niece with us, and we're all kind of like juggling as a family on who goes where, who does what. It's kind of like back in Abbott and Costello, where they say who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third, and they go into that whole spiel. That's how it's been with my family lately. Is that kind of how it is with you?
Kind of. So it's pretty small family. I live away from most of our extended family just because of work and everything. My wife, she stays in. She's kind of deathly afraid of COVID. She doesn't want to go anywhere, which I can't say I blame her. Why go out if you have to, or if you don't have to, I mean. But yeah, mostly it's just been having the work schedule and then working around that to do the YouTube thing, shooting all, recording, editing, all that takes a while. And just trying to find some kind of free time while still making time for, the wife and kids. And people got a little familiar with the young ones now because they like to pop in on here. I actually had to kick my son out of the live stream last night because he wouldn't calm down. He was just like talking over everyone. I had to shoo him away because he was just all over the place.
It's awesome to have that passion. I tell you right now, if you could bottle what young kids have and say, hey, I want to sell this as an energy drink, I would be the first one in line and be like, I'm there. Absolutely. I don't know how my nieces have so much energy. I have gray in my beard, and I'm like, I'm done. You get me past 6 o'clock, I want to lay down and not say another word. And they're like, let's play Fortnite. Let's do this. I was like, let's not. It's not saying we said we did. We were going to,
Right. Yeah, honestly, if I could bottle that up, I'd probably own my company right now. Usurp everybody all the way to the top and run it all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kids are a blessing, but boy, do they tire you out.
They are.
Especially, the older you get, you're just like, whew. Can't do this like I used to, but.
And then you sit there and you think about it going, oh my God, what did I put my parents through?
Oh, it gives you, a lot of perspective. Like I get why my mom was mad all the time. Like we used to think she was mean. Really, we were just making her pull her hair out,
I know. It's like my dad would be like, I'm going to rest my eyes. My eyes can't look anymore, and I'm going to rest it. And then we were like, he's snoring. And we would wake him up, and he'd be like, I'm resting my eyes from you.
Try to get any little wink of sleep you can. Huh?
Exactly.
Yep.
So, hey, Lord Starsky, Ruben, and Masterfar, and Solmus44 and TFN Geek. Thank you all, guys, for coming in. I appreciate that. This whole new world that we are living in has really made me sit here because I do have an interview. It's a job that I've always wanted, and I do have an interview, and I hope it goes well. But if it does go well, I have no rest in my future.
Well, good luck. I hope you get it.
I appreciate it. Very, very excited about it. My sister's brother shared it with me, and he was like, "Hey, you probably would fit in right here with this." But enough about me. Let's focus on you. Question that I have, the
Okay.
absolute, the pinnacle question is, how did you get into Transformers?
So I grew up with Transformers, like most of the people in the hobby. A little too young to have been there right from the beginning. I was born in '87. So I caught the G2 reruns, the original show, which was basically the same show with like some CGI cutaways.
Mm-hmm.
So I got introduced to that, a little bit of the G2 toy line. In fact, my first Transformers toy, at least the first one I can ever remember having, was the G2 Blast Off toy. Grab this guy. It's not the actual G2 Blast Off Combiner Wars, but for visual reference, this is what I had. There he is.
Oh yeah,
And
the white and purple.
yeah, he had that purple camo on him that, when you're a kid, even though it makes no sense, you're like, oh, it's so cool, bright colors.
Yep.
And I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I actually grew up very poor. So that's all I had. I just had Blast Off, but I knew, based on the packaging he could combine. I remember just sitting there, like just transforming him into his arm mode, which didn't even have a hand, and just like imagining how cool it'd be if I could actually afford the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of where I started off. And initially, the Transformers thing was just one of many things I was into as a kid, right? Kids like things like, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers at the time, all that. So just kind of one amongst many. It wasn't until I was 13 that I moved and had a bunch of money sitting around. I had gotten a bunch of money for like a birthday or something. And I went to a local Walmart and just like bought up pretty much all the toys there, like anyone I didn't have, on a whim. It was mostly Beast Wars and a few Beast Machines. It was during that transition time where they had both on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it was, but like something sparked there, and I just kept buying them and I kept collecting them. I went from it just being, just toys that I have a few of to like, I must have all of them. So
nice.
I'm not entirely sure what really pushed me over that edge, but it's been almost continuous ever since then. I took a few breaks over the years, either because of money, getting started as a young adult, or maybe just not interested in what was going on. I was one of the people that didn't give animated the chance that it deserved at the time. Kind of wrote it off as like, oh, this is kid junk, I don't want to watch this, but actually ended up being amazing once I finally did watch it.
I did the same thing with Armada.
Yeah.
Exact same thing with Armada.
Yeah, I had initially written it off, and then I ran into some of the Armada toys at a store, and I was actually really impressed because it was just so different. My first Armada toy, I think, was Demolisher. It was the first one. I grabbed it like while we were at some kind of gathering, and we stopped at the store, and that kind of got me hooked because I love the whole mini-con gimmick. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, it's just been an ongoing thing. And then about 3 years ago, I got the idea to start a YouTube channel. Mostly because I just didn't have other adults to really talk to about this. I was in the military at the time. Aren't a whole lot of military people out there. They're like, yeah, plastic robots. That's what I'm into. So, it's really hard. My wife, I mean, she tolerates it, but she's not interested. She could not care less. So I just needed some sort of outlet to kind of show off, the new purchases and get people talking about it and just get that back and forth going. And yeah, 3 years later, new house, finally got my own collection room, a little bit more equipment, kind of trying to increase the production quality of all that. And I'm just trying to make it, trying to keep the channel growing. Get the little bit of ad revenue, which helps. If I'd be happy if I reach a point where the collecting paid for itself.
Oh,
If I can reach that sweet spot where like that little bit of ad revenue that comes in just kind of covers the collecting, that's like perfect. It's like a self-feeding cycle, and then I don't have to worry about, can I afford this? Can I not afford this?
I gotta be honest with you. I was around before the YouTube purge, and I did have a channel that did pay for my hobby. You still there?
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it just cut up a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying that, I had a YouTube channel that did pay for the hobby. And I made stupid mistakes where I was using clips that were copyrighted material, and then when YouTube had their big shutdown, my channel went
Really?
down. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do for my hobby? And Nikki was like, it's not going to change anything. You're still going to buy every damn Transformer you see. You're going to get, and I am too. But the cool thing for me and Nikki is the fact that we both have the same passion. And, you have this passion and you're sharing this with your child. How about your wife? Does your wife look at this and go, okay, I understand it? Or does she kind of look at it and go, well, that's you, not me, but that's you? And
I think it's more the latter. Okay. I've tried. I tried to get her to sit down and watch the War for Cybertron show to, if I could present her with something a little more serious, maybe that would hook her. She watched one episode and was like, I'm out. When I get something new, I'm like, hey, look how cool this is. And she's like, it literally looks like every other one you show me. I'm like, boy, you are just not letting me enjoy this at all. But, my wife and I, we've been together since we were teenagers.
Okay.
Most of our lives have been together. And so, she knew what she was getting into. Like, this was no surprise. I was already collecting by the time we started dating. So if she wasn't okay with that, she wouldn't have married me.
There you go. It was like, hey, I will never forget. I'm a big comic book guy, and Valentine's Day was going to fall on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And Nikki said, so what are we doing on Wednesday? And I was like,
getting comics.
I was like, shit, how am I going to introduce her to comic books? And I was like, I'm busy on Wednesday. She says, you work during the daytime. What do you do at night? Other than to talk to me, or we go over to your apartment. And I was like, it's comic book day. And she says, what in the tarnations is comic book day? And I took her with me, and I still eat crow till this day. We've been married for 20 years, and Nikki will not let me live this down. We went to the comic book show at the comic book shop, and Nikki saw this comic book that was called Liberty Meadows with Frank Cho. And she was like, I want this book. And I was like, nobody's going to remember that book. It's a piece of shit. Nobody's going to care. But hey, okay, if that's what you really want, I'll get it for you. And I got it for her. And that thing's more expensive than anything else in our collection.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, son of a biscuit. And she got to meet him. Here's the funny thing. We were in Charlotte, North Carolina. Frank Cho was there. Nikki's a big fan. She had her letter that was in one of his comic books. He was there promoting Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. I went up to him and asked to get a artwork for my wife. He gives me this price, and I was like, oh, I'm going to eat crow if I don't get this. So I gave him the money. As a comic book guy myself, going, I know I'm getting ripped off, but hey, it makes my wife happy. I go back to our table, and she goes, look what Frank Cho did for me for free. And I was like, son of a biscuit. Are you kidding me? I got you this artwork that he did. And she was like, oh, that's beautiful, but it doesn't meet up with Ralph as being in a Darth Vader outfit. I was like, I have a cramp in my finger right now. But yeah, but it is awesome whenever you're able to find that one connection. I get it. Nikki doesn't understand all my passions about Transformers, even though she loves Transformers. Some of the characters, like you did the review dealing with Repugnance, I showed that to her. I said, I've got to have this. She's like, I don't think we have the money for that. And I was like, but I have to have this. And she's like, I really don't know if we have the money for it. I said, you got your damn Sharkicons with a one-step hot rod. I want the Repugnance. And she was like, okay, we'll get it. So, but with that, and I saw that your kid was with you with that. I mean, that was pretty cool to be able to.
I have to give in sometimes. I don't want to be too strict and tell him no every time. So I got to kind of throw him a bone every now and then so that when it counts, when I like really need him to give me some space, I can, point to be like, well, look at all these times I let you, do the review. So he gets to, chime in every once in a while. Usually those are pretty heavily edited reviews because he'll just like completely go off on a tangent. Like he'll start like shoving things in the camera, or I'll be like reviewing something and he'll just like literally take it out of my hands and walk away. And I'm like, dude. Yeah, he's a very high strung kid. My eldest was the same way though, and he's mellowed out. So I'm hoping the same thing happens. I need a little calmer in here.
But with that, I mean, you're getting to share this across generations, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it kind of goes on the next question. When I'm dealing with, I ask people is that, within 10 years from now, where do you see Transformers? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I am from the G1. I remember seeing the original Transformers. I remember having the original Prime and the other characters before the G2. And I remember getting the G2 look of those also. But I'm going to be honest with you, is the one thing I was very surprised that 35 years later, people are still passionate about, as they were the day it came out. And was sharing this with your child. Do you see your child kind of like gravitating to it and going as far as you have with it?
Yeah, they're not as into it as I am. But again, it wasn't until I was 13 that I got that into it. So to them, it's kind of like, it's just one of many things they like. My oldest son, he got into Transformers at a really young age. Those little bot shot things?
Yeah.
They ram into each other and, he had a bunch of those. Yeah. And he loved them. And we still got a bunch like in cubes and stuff. So he started pretty young, and then, he graduated to like more, standard Transformers. Now he gets generation stuff too. Usually my collect is a good gauge for what I should get him based on, how he reacts and if he really wants something. So he tends to kind of just follow what I get now. And my youngest, he held out longer. It wasn't until very recently he really got into the Transformers. I would buy him some here and there, like Rescue Bots, and he'd play with them for like a day and then just kind of whatever. Lately, though, for some reason, something's changed, and now he really wants them. And so I buy him like the one steps and stuff like that. He really likes those. He plays with them. And it is an interesting time because, like I said, I was like right there on the tail end of the whole G1 thing into G2. So I got a chance to be introduced to the characters in their original incarnation. That's where I started. And now the way the timing worked out with how they've kind of circled back onto that around the 30th anniversary or so, it's cool seeing them generations later. They're still playing with the same characters that I played with. They still have their Optimus, their Megatron, their Starscream, and all that, which is, it's pretty neat in that regard. So it's kind of a timeless franchise.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like what I was sharing with my sister. She was like, wow, your nieces are really into what you're into. And I was like, but they're more dealing with the Bayverse or the reboot of Bumblebee. And that's where their eyes have kind of like gravitated to. And it made me sit there and think for a second. I was like, wow, that means that if it's Armada, G2, G1, whatever, there is a G1 for every person.
Yeah.
No matter what the age they are. And like you were saying, you said you got into the Beast Wars, Beast Machines. Nikki did too. So, I mean, she kind of saw some of the G1. That was the third season. She never saw the first two seasons till we got married. She never saw the movie till we got married. She was more into Beast Wars and Beast Machines.
Yeah, I really love Beast Wars. That, even though I was there for G1, Beast Wars was really the one that sung to me. Like that, the writing in that show, I mean, that was on just a level that they really hadn't done in kids shows before. And the CGI at the time was groundbreaking. I mean, it was only like the second fully CGI show ever made next to Reboot, which, they made that too. So they knew what they were doing. Animated's a stupid name for a show. Yeah, I agree. Maybe that's why I didn't give it a chance at first, because I'm like, well, it's already animated, so if they make it more cartoony, I'm out. Maybe that's what drove me off. But Beast Wars was really it for me. Like that's the series that I was most passionate about, and they really stuck with it for a long time. Like even into the universe time frame, the 3H BotCon stuff. I mean, they really were all over Beast Wars, and you wouldn't know it by looking at Transformers now. You know, they've basically forgotten all about that franchise. Well, obviously, you know, Kingdom's coming up, so somebody's finally remembering. But
Right.
like I was there, you know, in 2016 when it was the 20th anniversary, and Hasbro just like ignored it completely. We're all sitting around like, come on, what is this? So Fun Pub came through. You know, they had the Beast Wars sets. That was neat. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Kingdom. I'm looking forward to some Generation style Beast Wars characters and see what they can do with them now with, you know, ankle tilt and universal joints and all that good stuff.
And that's
So-
why I'm glad you mentioned that the kingdom's coming up. Is that, let's be honest, over 20 years now, we're finally getting the first line other than Generations that did the Maximum and did Optimus Primal and did Megatron, and those 2-packs that you could have gotten back in the day. This is the first time they've actually given credence, and other than them giving us a hint that they might do a Beast Wars movie. Kingdom is really pretty much in the Transformer community, kind of like rock the boat, where everybody is speculating, thinking, you know, where are we going to go from here? What's going to happen? Why is this? And to be honest, we have, you know, the thing with Unicron coming up. We have the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars coming up around the same time we're giving Kingdom. Well, what do you expect, or what do you hope to expect from Kingdom?
Well, I mean, like I already mentioned, just the updates to the Beast Wars designs is the biggest thing. I'm so curious about how they're going to pull it off, because, you know, there's kind of the elephant in the room of the obvious size difference between the G1 characters and the Beast Wars characters. Like, are the G1 characters going to shrink down to scale with them, or are we going to have like 30-foot tall cheetahs? Like, I wonder how they're going to do that. Or, you know, I mean, they might just ignore scale completely. Like when you look at the Siege cartoon, that did not adhere to the toy scale at all. They just, you know, I mean, Astro Train was like 100 feet tall, you know. So I do wonder how they're going to do that. Yeah, I can't wait to see like an updated Beast Wars Megatron. Like, we've had the Masterpiece, and, you know, Takara Tomy, to their credit, have done amazing work on those Masterpiece Beast Wars toys. I got the Dinobot because they've really just never had a good Dinobot toy.
No, and I want that so bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's fragile. I got to tell you, that thing, I get like panic attacks just moving it, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna like break.
You're the second person who's told me that. Wow. Oh, so is he really that fragile?
He feels like it almost feels like handling eggshells, just because of the, you know, kind of the way he's plated and everything. Okay. And I have heard reports of him breaking. Now, mine's been fine. I haven't had any issues. The only issue I have is the battery leakage thing, which seems universal. If you leave the batteries in, they'll just die eventually. So I took his batteries out to avoid leaking. And I love the Masterpiece Beast Wars toys. They're cool, but they're just so expensive. And I mean, Dinobot, that was it. He was the last Masterpiece I bought, because he was like $250, and after that, I'm like, I canceled my Megatron pre-order because he was like $320. And I'm like, I can't do this.
I didn't realize Megatron
too much for a single toy. You know, I could take that $350 and buy like an entire wave of, you know, War for Cybertron with that same money and get a lot more enjoyment for my money. So I like that Generations is becoming like the mini Masterpiece. You know, it's Masterpiece for people that don't have just all the disposable income in the world, and, you know, you still get something pretty good. I mean, I love what they've done with these toys. I mean, that Jetfire looks like some of the third-party Masterpiece Jetfires that have been put out, and it's a Generations toy. It's $80, which is a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. It's like I was talking to Lord Starscream earlier this morning. He was like, "Hey, I know that you sent Ruben the Wheeljack." He's like, I have a chance to get the Wheeljack. Do you recommend?" I was like, "Dude, I recommend, because I love Wheeljack, and there's only 3 Masterpieces I have in my collection. Nikki's is the first one, which is Hot Rod. The second one is mine, which is Sideswipe, and the third is me and Nikki's both, which is Wheeljack." And the Wheeljack from the Cyberverse, I mean the Earthrise line, is identical. Except
I noticed that they're very similar.
They really are.
Fine. Yeah, I'll take a scaled down Masterpiece for $20. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
It was like I was telling him, I was like, there's only like one panel difference between the two because you do the masterpiece and you have his legs. There's a panel that will fold in that gives you none of that space. Well, when you get the Earthrise, it doesn't have that panel, but it's not needed for the transformation.
Right.
So you're like, wow, they've done an excellent job. I've been told that the prom from Earthrise is very much like the MP10. And if that's the case, then I'm very happy that I got that one and not the MP10 because who's got freaking $300, $400 just to drop on one figure? I mean, hey, if you've got a great YouTube channel that promotes that, absolutely, y'all knock yourselves out, get it.
Yeah.
But let's look at that. Let's look at the price of Transformers right now.
So yeah, they're getting up there.
Yeah,
they're better than Masterpiece, but like I looked at a Double Dealer here recently, and he's a great toy in his own right. He's very solid, aside from some QC issues.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not $50 worth of toy. I mean, I could pull out my $40, Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime that's way bigger with all these moving parts that shift around. And obviously some of it's going to be, it's inflation. That was, 10 years ago, roughly. There's going to be differences, but
not that much.
I can't. I mean, looking at inflation rates and all that, it doesn't feel like we're getting a fair deal anymore. It feels like this is becoming more of an indulgent hobby than, just picking up a cheap toy at a Walmart somewhere. So that is unfortunate. I don't know if the prices are going to jump again anytime soon, especially with the economy the way it is. I mean, who can really afford, if, like Deluxe has become $25, who's really going to start? Like, they have to play that dangerous game of trying to make their profits but not driving everyone off. And I've already seen a lot of people online that just don't even collect anymore because just the regular figures are too expensive, which is fair. I mean,
yeah, it is. We went by Walmart, and I was very, very surprised that
my wife's hitting on me.
What's that?
My wife's hitting on me in the chat. Stormy Night, that's her.
Stormy Night, that's awesome.
Oh, behave.
So if you're looking at this, is something that kind of like when Nikki and I we went by Walmart, and even though where our money goes to the different ones of pre-orders from Big Bad Toy Store and so on, we saw the Cyberverse line dealing with the Warrior class, and I was very surprised that a Warrior class Starscream and a Megatron with the fusion cannon, the double fusion cannons you get from the cartoon, was only $11. So I bought one of them, and I got the Starscream. That's the one I decided to go with it because I hated the Starscream that had no knee bends or anything.
Yeah.
With the Cyberverse. So I got that, and I opened him up and I looked at it. And I was like, well, shit, this guy is actually pretty cool.
The latter Warrior molds are a lot better than what they started with. Those things are barely better than the one steps. I mean, they're bricks.
Yeah, they are.
Gimmicks just made them just awful.
Horrible. And I was looking, and Nikki pointed out to me, she's like, "Look, wow, you have done stuff more with that Starscream, played with more with that Starscream than your Siege Starscream." And she was like, "Would you have been happy if this was the Starscream that you got?" And I was like, to be honest with you, yes. Price for one, articulation 2, and then if you had a gimmick, yes, 3, because the gimmick did not impair the transformation.
Yeah, that's important too. Like, a gimmick is fine as long as it doesn't make the toy itself a bad action figure. And that's a philosophy I think is completely lost on most of Cyberverse. I mean, there are very few toys I regret buying. Maybe I regret how much I paid for them, but normally I'm still happy I have it. Like, I've never gotten rid of anything in my collection, but I've come pretty close with Cyberverse. Like, just taking some of those Warrior class toys and just giving them to the kids or something, just because they bother me to even look at them. They're so ugly.
I did. I gave them to my nieces and my nephews. I kid you not. There's only certain few, just for the fact that I've gotten being a completist, and that's what I want to talk about next. Being a completist, where you try to get every single rendering of those characters. Cyberverse, there were certain ones like Ninja Bill and I agreed on that certain ones were, yeah, for playability, for what they are, they're good figures. But if you're going to be a completist, not so much. Is there figures in your collection that you feel like you need to be a completist over?
As far as like certain toy lines, or
yes, across the board, so to speak. Like, is there one character? Because Ninja Bill has almost every single one of Optimus Prime from the day it was released up to the day. The only one that he does not have is the Power of the Primes, which would be this figure right here.
That guy's a living paradox. He's like so good and so bad at the same time.
Yeah,
like, he looks great, but there's so many problems with him at the same time.
Let me put his feet out before you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he worked a lot better as the Star Convoy and the Nemesis Prime. Those are better uses of that idea, I think.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the part in his chest, but I don't understand why I have to open this part here, part here, just to be able to get to his matrix.
Yep.
So yeah. And so, like Ninja Bill said, this is one of the ones he was not able to get because it didn't show up in his area. And I was like, well, you're not really missing that much. But as a completist, do you think in a way we've got, I was talking to Solomus, which is also everyone out there is Ultimate Wolf. Make sure I say that right, because he called me out on it during this thing. Hey, Tia Collector said, let me go. I'm going back. Hey, Master Far, I am so sorry, everyone. I am trying my best to find. So there he is, Ultimate Wolf. We were talking about, because he knows how much I love Repugnus, and he knows I love the Hunt. And I just recently got G1 World, and then I also got the One Step World. And I got Generations World coming in. But when you have a character like that, if my brother-in-law focuses on Starscream. And he gets Starscream from G1 all the way up to now. And yes, JD, I know, thanks to me, you have your Earthrise Starscream. So, but other than that, is there a character that's out there that you're looking at and you say, okay, this is the character I need to get every single rendering of?
That hasn't really been one of my collecting goals. Never really thought of it that way, of like having a certain character. I have to have all of them. I like when a character gets new forms. That's always cool, which is something that doesn't happen very often anymore. Now everything's just a recreation of like the same designs over and over. But back in the days of G1 and G2, they would experiment, and they were a lot braver with the things that they would do, and that's how you got gems like Laser Optimus Prime, which I used to have, and I don't anymore, and that kills me. Really? I don't know what happened. I think my mother sold it off when I wasn't looking or something, like in a garage sale, and that thing was amazing. Rare. That was one of the best Transformers toys made for years, and that's all so I like seeing a character return in some new form or an upgraded form is neat, and I definitely want to get that. Like having the regular Siege Optimus along with the Galaxy upgrade one, that's good because it doesn't feel like I'm just buying the same toy twice. The same character, but two different forms. A good way to compare it would be for Marvel collectors, right? You might get like regular Spider-Man and then Black Suit Spider-Man and then Scarlet Spider.
Yep.
And all that stuff. And, it's not as samey. So my collecting over the years has changed mostly according to necessity. When I first started out, I was just buying what I could. I wasn't financially independent. I was a kid still. So, basically whenever my mom or dad were generous enough to get me something. So my early collection has a lot of holes in it, right? I just got what I could afford. As I got older, started branching out some more, but was still kind of selective because money wasn't abundant. Just starting out, we had our son pretty young, so we really didn't have a great foundation. But there were a few that I came close to finishing, like the Unicron Trilogy stuff. I think Cybertron I actually do have 100% complete.
Oh, cool.
So I'm more into like being completionist with certain toy lines, assuming they're good. Unlike Cyberverse, I'm not going to complete Cyberverse. That's more of a one of each character kind of thing. If I can help it. But when you have something quality like the Prime Wars trilogy, War for Cybertron trilogy, I want them all. And I've even gone and bought dubiously identical toys. Like I have Thrilling 30 Cosmos, but I also have Titans Return Cosmos. Even though there's not a huge difference between them, there's some different shade of colors and a few years separating them. So sometimes I'll get suckered into doing something like that just for the completion's sake. And then Earthrise, the Earthrise trap, where they've re-released a bunch of Siege toys that I already bought because I was a completionist, and they're like, "Oh, well, do you want the map piece? Sorry, bud, you're gonna have to buy that one again." And I'm like,
"That's your dream,
sheep," because I'm gonna, normally I just if I buy an extra, I give it to my son, so he's got an Astro Train and a Rung and all those other bits.
I have not found Rung yet, and I cursed the day. I'm like, that's it. I just want one. I don't care if it's Earthrise, Siege, whatever.
Well, Amazon, I think I can help you with that.
Send that to. Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a spare Rung because I got the Earthrise one for the map piece, and I don't think he'll miss it because he has the red one that came with Ultra Magnus.
Yeah,
because they put that spoiler box on clearance. So like, how could I not buy him this super cheap Ultra Magnus toy? So I actually have it laying right there, so I could probably hook you up with that. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind at all. I got to keep the map piece though.
That's fine. I just want the character itself. That's all I want. I missed out on Siege, and I had Big Bag Toy Store where I had pre-ordered it, and then they got in contact with me and said, "We don't know we're going to get another one of these in, but we can we can sell you, or let your credit go to the one where it has the snake shield,
the Slitherfang one."
Yeah, and I was like,
"It's cool on its own right."
It is, and I was like, "But I've already got that pre-ordered. I know it's coming in." I was like, "No, I'm good." But oh yeah, I would absolutely shipping and the whole 9 yards. I'll buy that from you.
I don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's something that I was like, oh my god, it's like 3 times I've missed out on it. But
yeah, he was a pain to find at first.
Oh god,
him and the cassettes were really bad.
Yes,
the Rat Bat and Rumble. I had to give in and pay a scalper on eBay for them because they had they were so good at their job. You had to get it from them or just don't get it.
Oh yeah,
they defeated me.
They did that with Nikki too because she was like, I've got Laserbeak, I've got Ravage. I have to have the other two.
Yep.
Damn the world, I will get it. It's the last thing I do.
Yep.
But let's take a look at the toy lines so far. Like you were mentioning these other lines and Cyberverse and stuff. Let's take a look at what Hasbro has given us with Siege and Earthrise. How do you feel? Do you think the quality is better, or is it kind of like lacking in some areas? And you wish that it would be more like the old stuff that we got from Armada and Cyberverse. I mean, excuse me, the trilogy and stuff like that. And or are you completely content? Because I see there's like this thing on social media where you've got some just like praising, and you got some that's going, no, it should have screws, it shouldn't have pegs, it shouldn't have a ball joint. How do you feel about that?
I think it has pros and cons, definitely. There are, the toys, the posability that they've engineered into these, where they have certain standards now, right? They've all got ankle tilt, and they've made them much better at being action figures than, Yes. Hold on one moment, please.
Sure thing, my man.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Oh, look. Got enough. Hey, See, that's the greatest. Oh, look at there. That's the greatest thing. And he can join us if he wants to. My niece kind of took over my sanctuary here as with Transformers. She was like, I want to be in Derek's room. And I was like, oh, you want to be in my room, huh? She's like, yeah, you got all these Transformers and these Green Lanterns, and I want to sit here and eyeball it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll let you sleep in my studio room. I'm not too happy about it, but yeah, I guess I'll let you do it. But yeah.
Sorry about that. My son comes up. He's like, hey, can we go to a friend's house? I'm like, you have a mother. Like, I'm not the only parent here. What do you like? You know what I'm doing right now. Sorry.
You're fine.
Like I was saying, the engineering that goes into them, both for part count, transformation, that's probably never been better. But the flip side is that everything's smaller, for one. Which, if you care about scale to some degree, which I'm not super obsessed with it. I'm not going to like break out the ruler and see if Optimus is a millimeter taller than Megatron or not. But I like things to be kind of right around, some approximation. And they really clash with everything that came before, with the Prime Wars, Thrilling 30, because they're all smaller. Optimus is like, you stand him next to Siege, or not Siege, but Power of the Prime's Alita 1, and she just like towers over him, which, they're both supposed to be the same size class. So that's an issue. Also, because they're cost cutting, accessories are very lacking. And that's something that does bother me. You see a lot of characters that they forego their classic, weapons and stuff just because they don't want to increase the parts count and the production costs. One that's really apparent with his Wheeljack, because he gets a shoulder cannon. That's it. And then their way of getting around that is like, well, he can hold his shoulder cannon. I'm like, what? I mean, sure, but it still feels like we're losing out here.
Well, speaking of that, let's take a look.
Part, they're all affected by this in some way. Like Optimus didn't have roller. You have to buy a $30 part pack just to get roller. And then even with roller, it's still not complete. You're still missing things. So that is frustrating. And, because we don't work for Hasbro internally, we don't know how much of it is necessary and how much is just they want to please their stockholders. So, it's and we'll never know, unfortunately. So we just have to kind of roll with the punches or not collect, I guess. So it's a real mixed bag for me.
It is. I totally agree. But it's like also when I look at it, because there's certain things that I know from a production aspect of things that things do change. But the one thing that I was sitting there looking at that I was like, doesn't make sense for me personally is characters like Cliff Jumper. I don't understand the $20 price tag that we are being literally forced on a legend scale that was used to be only $10, not even a year ago, but now is a $20 character because you decide you're going to give him a bigger cannon. There's no difference. I compare him to Seabreeze, and if you take Cliff Jumper from the Siege line, and you take Seabreeze from the Titans, and you put those two guys side by side, transformation is the same, and articulation is the same. So for me,
most part,
yeah, and for me, I was like, there's not a big enough difference. Now Nikki's going to get Bumblebee. Why? Because she loves him, and she loves the Volkswagen Beetle.
Don't never let Nikki watch one of my Bumblebee reviews. She'll be very offended.
She watches a lot of them. She's like, Bumblebee gets no love. I was like, everybody's so friggin' tired of Bumblebee.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Bumblebee. It's just that he's not quite as great as Hasbro wants us to believe. Like, he's not that interesting of a character to where he needs to be at the forefront of literally everything. There's so many other characters out there. That'd be like if X-Men all of a sudden they just like everything was about like Jubilee was the front runner for X-Men for the next 20 years. And like, it's all like, in fact, they just call it Jubilee and the other guys, the series,
the series.
Kind of how I feel about Bumblebee. Is like, yeah, he's cool. Everyone likes him. But when he's literally the only thing that you market, who cares? He's a little yellow car guy. Like, it's not that impressive. But it's got kid appeal, and I guess Hasbro knows what they're doing because that thing sells like hotcakes.
It does, and it's all about marketing too.
Yep.
But you take a look at what Hasbro is now kind of like telling us is that yes, and this is what I had said on other podcasts and other live streams. I said Hasbro is in what's known as the $5 sweet spot, and what that means is that Hasbro is going to, because of the price change that they're having to do to how much plastic is going up in cost and other things, there's a $5 sweet spot that they're trying to find. Now, some figures are going to go up $10. Some figures are going to stay at the same price. Some figures are going to only go up $5 more. And then you're going to have where we no longer have a true, legends, but a leader class figure. It's going to be more of a Voyager size with more parts.
That's basically what Shockwave is. I mean, I could pull out old Voyagers that are more complex than leader class Shockwave, like armor and all. So that was a shame.
And and when I was saying, I was like, I get it, I understand it, I understand how pricing, because even with me that I publish a graphic novel and knowing how much it is going up for the print for each page, I can only imagine how that's going to be when you're dealing with plastic and you're dealing with this aspect.
Yeah.
But with this and on this side, how would you feel dealing with 3D printing? How would you feel about if things kind of moved over into that area of collectibles?
Well, so I remember Hasbro had put out some sort of initiative a few years ago. Cats attacking the door. They were saying that they were going to start trying to work with people like that, more 3D printing companies and all that. And I guess it fizzled out. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from it, but I thought that was kind of where the future was going to be, right? Imagine if Hasbro, they make a toy and they have to cut some features from it for cost reasons, but then you have somebody who's like an official partner of theirs. I mean, just for the sake of making it, first party, get that Hasbro, write-off saying like, hey, do you want your combiners to have better feet? Or do you think it's lame that Wheeljack doesn't have a gun, kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And give that flexibility. And, they can just kind of do a quick check, like, okay, this looks legit. It looks like it passes all of our safety standards, whatever, and allow that to happen. And that way you can have smaller scale stuff for more discerning collectors. Yeah, I know there's a kitten at my door. If you want to send one of the kids to fix that problem, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Or I could show you what my baby kittens do. Let me just give you on my camera. Those of you that are watching, ACP is. Ow! I just smashed my finger. And look at that. Look, she's like, I'm out. I'm with Daddy. I'm going to chill out with him for right now because he's talking about Transformers, which means I get some wet food afterwards if I'm good.
Normally, I just let the cat in, except this is the collection room, and the very first thing she wants to do is just jump into the shelves and knock everything over. It's like, I know the moment I let her in, she's going to dart off, and she's just going to start knocking everything over. That's what she does every time. So she cannot come in here.
Oh, I get you. There's a room that I actually have a key to that's a lock, so that if the nieces or anybody comes over, they don't open it up by accident and leave it open, because my cats will go in there and be like, it's party time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a lock on this door just because of that reason, just so the little one or the cat or dog can't come in here.
The cat I just showed you ate the hands off of some Lego pieces that I had. Only the hands.
Oh, no.
Only the hands. And I was like, well.
She kind of indirectly bit the hand that feeds her.
Yeah. I was like, I hope you crap them out soon so I can have them back. Because that's the one thing Lego does is, hey, come, you're missing a hand. Come on, you come to our store. We'll give you some new hands. No. And the cat y'all just saw is Jingle Bell, and she ate the hands of 3 Lego guys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One was Batman from the Batman movie Lego. One was a Build-A-Character that I created. And then one was from the Legos 2 movie that she was like, "Ooh, how are you doing? I want your hands." So yeah. All right.
Yeah. I used to have a dog that chewed up a lot of my Cybertron toys pretty bad. Like my
Oh,
Cybertron Scourge, his little fin details on one
yeah.
side, it just looks like a dog's chew toy. It's just like, but there's nothing I can do about it now unless I want to pay God knows how much to replace that thing. So I just gotta
Exactly.
live with it.
Um, with Transformers itself, do you see? Because I'm going to be honest with you. For someone like me, I'm looking back at G1. I'm looking at the 35 years of Transformers, and I'm going. I never expect that. See, my grandfather, y'all can all see the original artwork is back here, which is Clark Kent, and it's from Adventures of Superman. Um, with that, I keep that in this room because I got the other ones and the other ones, but I keep this here as a reminder. My grandfather was a Superman fan. And I never, ever thought that there would be anything that would, go as far as Superman has. And Transformers have. I mean, whether we hate Bayverse or not, Bayverse did bring new life to Transformers. So what do you think? Do you think that Transformers has the ability with Kingdom and everything that they have
To last that long?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say I'm kind of surprised it has gone as long as it has, just because most toy lines fizzle out well before a 35 or 40 year mark. I mean, there are very few that can say that, maybe like G.I. Joe, Mr. Potato Head, maybe,
Well, even G.I. Joe has gone to Jax,
I mean, they've kind of come and gone over the years. I kind of mixed predictions on it. Like, on one hand, the line's going very strong right now. And it is kind of a renaissance for people, especially that were into G1, because that's the focus. Some warning signs I see, though, some red flags. So the multimedia aspect of Transformers, the shows, video games, and all that are very sparse. It's very hard for them to get a good one off the ground. They started going the right way. We had Transformers Prime, which was so high production value, it was just legitimately just a good show. We had the War for Cybertron video games, which were excellent. And now when you look at what we've had lately, the Netflix show, while I think it was very good, I don't know if it's going to have the impact that it needs for them to feel justified in spending that kind of budget. I just don't know if the interest is there from the general public, from people that aren't already Transformers fans. And then when you look at like games, like the latest game coming out is basically a phone game on the PS4. It looks atrociously bad, like something that only a very young kid could enjoy.
Yeah, we talked about that. The site that
the Battlefields or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's horrible looking.
Yeah, it looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
So they do seem to, and the comics also have really fizzled out lately too, for the most part.
Yeah.
And that might hurt things later, because that whole multimedia aspect goes into advertising the toys, and kind of vice versa too. So if that's failing, that could drag the toy line down into kind of obscurity, and they might just eventually pull the plug. Another worry I have, I don't know if you saw the news, but John Warden, the lead designer, he's off of Transformers now. They moved him over to Power Rangers for some reason. And they haven't said why. And, no matter what the actual reason is, with Hasbro's very big on PR, and they'd be like, oh, it was just a great opportunity, everything. I don't know why, but it's odd, right? Because he's led the brand into such a high level of success in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the things that they've done with the budgets that they're given are amazing. When he came in, I think towards the end of Thrilling 30, I mean, he really bumped it up. And the fact that he just suddenly left, kind of, without a prior announcement or anything, makes me wonder, like, what are they planning after Kingdom? Because right now we have it planned out to a trilogy. Is Kingdom going to be kind of a swan song? Like, are they going to put it on ice after that? Because there's just something about it that seems weird. They are going to throw a bone to the Beast Wars fans for the anniversary. And in that same time, they're going to be celebrating the movie. But what comes after that? You know, normally by this point, we have an idea of what's coming. You know, there's some information that gets out. You know, we kind of knew some whisperings of War for Cybertron as the Prime Wars was ending. And right now, it seems very directionless, especially with the lead designer leaving. I'm not even sure who the lead designer is anymore. I don't know if one of the guys got promoted.
No, they haven't made an announcement yet. They haven't made an announcment.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, are they just finishing up and then they're gonna pack it up after that? Like, it honestly kind of worries me that they might. Or the other thing I'm thinking is maybe with Hasbro being, you know, as tight pursed as they typically are, they might decide like, hey, you know, you're doing good work, but you know, it's kind of costly. You know, you're making these toys, you know, these high part counts, and we think we can just milk Cyberverse level crap till the end of time. So you might be seeing a big change where Generations as we know it is going away, and you know they're going to go with this like, you know, simple is better philosophy and give us stuff with cheap plastics and low articulation for $20 and hope, you know, people will eat it up. And again, I have no factual data really to base this on, just kind of my hunches based on things I'm seeing that maybe they pulled the plug because they're looking to make it cheaper. And I think I remember on one of our live streams, you were talking about how copyright law is changing and things that they need to do to comply with that. How like Optimus Prime, they can't just, you know, trademark the name anymore. Now that it's got to have a certain look to it and everything, which kills creativity. Every Optimus is going to look like Optimus. Every Megatron is going to look like the same Megatron. And where do you go from there, right? When you're so hampered with what you can do with design. And also, you know, even if they kept up the current trend of basically rehashing G1, well, eventually they're going to run out of stuff to make. Unless they're just every 3 years we're going to get a new G1 Optimus or something. I don't know. It's almost kind of spooky right now because they're being very tight-lipped, and I don't know what's going on. But I have a feeling just in my gut that maybe, you know, Transformers collecting might come to an abrupt end, and we might become more like retro collectors where we're buying, you know, old stuff from flea markets rather than anything new. You know, it'll be like basically like how G.I. Joe was until the new line just relaunched. Where
and that's what and that's what I was going to mention is that I have a guy that I'm friends with is a big G.I. Joe, and he said, you know, they came out with the 25th anniversary stuff for G.I. Joe, and it was going really well, and things were selling and going, and then Hasbro just went, that's it.
And, you know, just because it hasn't happened to Transformers yet doesn't mean they won't. I mean, we love the brand, and it's one of the bigger ones, but it pales in comparison to, you know, something like Star Wars or Marvel. I mean, they could axe Transformers tomorrow, and those bigger franchises will still carry them. Like it's a relatively small share of everything. It's pretty niche, you know, by greater pop culture standards. You know, most people I know don't know jack about Transformers. So, but they can tell you who Spider-Man is. You know?
Yeah. Well, you got Hasbro, where it is now becoming a multiple platform company, and they're buying all these other different things as we're coming to the end of the show. But we're coming to the thing where you have all these things that Hasbro has been purchasing lately. And the concern for me is, and this is what I was sharing in another live stream the other day, is I was like, hey, what happens if Transformers goes like G.I. Joe, where you have a outside company that purchased the rights for those characters? What happens to third-party companies that pretty much capitalize off of Hasbro characters without Hasbro coming in and going, no, you can't do this. Yeah. But if you're going to buy a license of a character, you're not going to want a third-party company out there just making it, where you're having to buy the rights to make that character. It's a whole not dynamic. And Nikki we were talking about this the other day with my brother-in-law, and he was like, he's a big Transformer guy too, and he was like, you realize what they've done with G.I. Joe is just the first step. This is what every big company does. Disney, Marvel, DC, Warner Brothers, they own the actual property of the character, and then they let everyone else put a bid out to make that toy line.
Yeah. I think it's very possible that Hasbro is moving away from its original IPs and just going strictly to being a licensing toy company, which, I mean, they're already known for doing that, right? They've been the
Yeah.
Star Wars people and all that other stuff for years. I mean, they just acquired Power Rangers.
Yes.
I mean, that was a big acquisition.
Big.
So they may, I think it's lower risk to make licensed toys than it is original IPs, because you're not managing the IP at that point. Like, if Disney fails to make Marvel a hit, that's not on you. You're just making plastic versions of their characters. Whereas with this, they're in charge of all the marketing, right? If they want a movie to advertise these toys, they have to make the movie.
Yes.
Marvel and Disney aren't going to be there to make the movie for them. So I have a feeling that that's the way they're going. They just see it as like, hey, easy money, just buy up these popular brands that already exist and not so much worry about running their own brands. And again, I could be totally wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that tomorrow they come out like, aha, you thought you had us, but actually look at all this new stuff and it'd be great. But who knows? I mean, we're probably not going to know till at least sometime in the latter half of next year what's going to happen. So, we'll see.
We'll see. I'm actually wondering what's going to happen after Kingdom. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, as we're coming to our close,
okay,
I want you to tell people where they can find you, what you do, and a whole enchilada.
All right. So primarily I'm on here on YouTube at TF Collector. Let me pull up the old list here. You can also find me, if I can pull it up, any day now. Internet's a little slow up here. Okay. I do have a Facebook page for the channel at TFMR Collector, one word. I'm on Twitter for some reason. I don't know why. I got like 9 followers on Twitter. Maybe one day it'll take off, but that's a TFMR_collector. I have an Instagram for showing off pictures from the reviews. That's TF_collector_net. And then I'm also on the fan sites, Sabertron.com, Tformers, and TFW 2005 as Lore Keeper. So that's generally how you can get a hold of me, when it comes to anything Transformers related. And outside of that, I just work, take care of the family, get more political than I should, which I keep very separate from the Transformers thing, because I want this to be a place where everyone can just enjoy plastic robots. I have my opinions, and if you happen to stumble on my personal Facebook, you'll find out, but I'm not going to advertise it. I don't want to divide anybody. It's the last thing we need right now.
I agree. Same thing goes with TikTok. You see anything I do on TikTok, remember, I'm actually publishing a book that's called In the Mind of Conspiracy Theorists. So we're going with that. But I appreciate you being with here tonight. I really do. Great.
I love doing stuff like this.
Awesome.
Getting to talk to other fans, something I can't do in real life.
Same here. And but yeah, with that, guys, check out everything he does. Everything is awesome. Absolutely. And like today, I watched his Repugnance reviews with the little Repugnance, and I was like, I want that. Nick is like, we don't have the money for it right now. I was like, well, it's Repugnance. But hey, find something that you love, find something that you enjoy, share it with others. Thank y'all so much, everyone out there, for being with us. Thank you so much, TF Collector, for coming here tonight. I really do appreciate it. And I guess that's that. You know where to find us, where to seek us. And remember, more than meets the eye, as my grandfather said, hold on something for your youth. You'll never grow old. Look to the stars, and y'all have a great one. Thanks, guys.